Yeah, burnout. Okay, so I usually recommend my students to follow a pattern of like consistent behavior.
Mhm.
So, for instance, drawing, uh, drawing every day, right? Because here's the thing, man. Like when you have a system that is entirely based around, um, I don't know, like you just have a system that's entirely based around, uh, like working, grinding it out like for a whole day or whatever, or for a week or months, and then you just have a time where you just relax. Um, yeah, you're probably going to procrastinate a little bit more if you haven't built a strong foundation of working it out. Like I feel like when pressure is back on top of you again, you're going to work again. But that's the problem, is that you have to have pressure. And I'm trying to say, like, you should try to build a system where you don't rely on pressure. And
Oh,
what's great about this is that when you do have pressure, you're already kind of built in a situation where you're able to work a lot anyway. You know what I mean? So
kind.
yeah, so like think of it like this. When you're motivated and you're inspired or you're whatever, the fire burns hot.
Yes.
But then eventually the fire dies down, the furnace. Okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
And then when that fire burns out, um, where is its base state at? And if that base state is just back to embers, then that's what it's going to go back to. So let me demonstrate it to you visually. So imagine that this is just little fireplaces.
Mhm.
And so being inspired, you get like raging fire, right? Or
Yeah.
you have a lot of work to do before the end of the week. But eventually the fire dies down. So look, my question is, what is that base state at? And if it's just this, like just barely anything coming out of it, that's what's going to go back to your base. But if you have a
Mhm.
base where it's just constantly raging the fire, you know, yeah, you're going to be inspired on some days, but even when you're not, you're still kind of going at it.
Uh,
And so how do you do
I
that? Well,
see.
you got to just start doing it. You know, you just got to like do the thing, like give yourself small things. Like for instance, um, give yourself, uh, uh, I don't know, something along the lines of like 1 hour a day minimum.
Mm. Yeah.
You know what I
Okay, I
mean?
see. Yeah.
Like one
Yeah,
hour a
just like.
day, you're just going to draw something. You're going to learn something. You may not be drawing
Mhm.
anything important. You know, you may not draw anything um, of value. You're just doing it. You're just getting that time in. And then once you start to get that time in, then you start to challenge that. So you know what? I'm going to try to start practicing a little bit more of my fundamentals, or I'm going to try to practice more designs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And then
Yeah.
you say, you know what? I can probably put in 2 hours. I don't have to just put in 1 hour. You know? And then you start saying, you know, I'm
Mhm.
going to put in 3 hours. I'm going to do 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at night, and then 1 hour in the middle of the day.
I see. Yeah, like even compared to before, like especially like a few months before I took up your class and like crunching for the deadline before that, like I actually got into like into like a depression period because I have no idea what I should work on. Like I have like it feels like you have no purpose. So it's actually better if I have to like have a deadline to go for or like an assignment going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But think about what you just said. Without that, though, you go into like depression and you have anxieties, right?
Yes.
So you should fix.
Yes.
There's like I call what you were talking about a paper towel solution.
Towel.
Yeah. So imagine you have a faucet that's leaking,
Mhm.
and the way that you're fixing it is using paper towels.
Ah,
Do you
so
understand?
that's why. Yeah, yeah,
So what does that
yeah.
mean? Does that mean the faucet stops leaking? No. It just means you're just stopping it from being overwhelming, right? But
Yeah.
eventually it's going to still be overwhelming. It's still leaking. So what I'm trying to say is what I'm saying about like this whole creating your own patterns and stuff, that is a just a real solution. You're going to stop the faucet from leaking in general.
Mm, I
Does it make
see.
sense?
Yes, yes, and
Yeah,
it does.
because you're not going to always have these deadlines. That means you have to always be perpetually in school or some sort of
Mhm,
class. You have no
mhm,
self you have no self reliance on actually just making sure you just do it. You know,
mhm. Yeah.
and that's ultimately what I'm trying to get at. Like you need to like avoid paper towel solutions. Okay,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
need
Okay.
solutions that will change your life and for the better. You know,
Okay.
so going back to this idea of like you don't have any purpose, then give yourself a simple purpose, or give yourself purposes that are already attainable, something that you can already do, like hang out with the people you care about. You could do that, right? Like making time for those you care about and those you love. That's not a bad thing to try to aim for, you know.
If they
And then
live near me.
but see again, like you're creating more problems. You're not thinking of solutions. Of course,
Oh,
if they don't live near you, you can't just go visit them. But why can't you give them a call?
oh,
You know, don't think about why it's such a problem. Think about how you can solve the problem.
oh,
You know what I mean?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, think about it because then let's take this back to art. Instead of saying, "Oh, if I don't have something to do, then I don't know what to do." See that philosophy, that mentality is what's causing you your anxiousness, your depression. So stop doing it.
Oh,
It's not helping you. You know,
oh,
it's fine if like if you have reasons why things are hard. It's okay to talk about why there's challenges in your life. There's nothing wrong with talking about challenges. What's wrong is that you recognize there's these challenges and you just don't care. And then you don't care that
oh,
there's these challenges, and then you feel like, oh, there's so many challenges, and then it starts feeling overwhelming. It's a paper towel solution. It's easy to say
oh,
to me, oh well, AJ, they don't live next to me. I believe you. My parents don't live next to me either, but yet I still find time. You know what I mean?
uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't live in London, and yet I'm teaching you, right? I found a way to teach people from all around the world. This whole
Mm,
New York thing that we're doing, right? Um,
mm,
my buddy James, he's like, holy crap, this is like so much easier than I expected. Because he's like, because it did really well. We're almost sold out. The event is
mm,
sponsored, and we have hotel, venue, and an after party all booked,
mm.
and we didn't spend a dime. And he was
Wow.
shocked. He was just like, what the? He's like, this is crazy. I didn't think this was that easy. It's like, why didn't you think that was this easy? Now, James, I don't think has the same mentality. He's also a very much like, yeah, let's make things happen kind of attitude, right? That's
Yeah.
why I reached out to him, you know?
Ah, okay.
But imagine if I was to say to him, hey, James, let's do something in New York. He's like, oh, well, I don't know, man. Like, where are we going to get a venue? Where, like, he would have already created roadblocks. You know what I mean? But the
Sure.
opposite happened. I said, hey, we should do something in New York. He's like, yeah, all right, let's do it. And then I was like, all right,
Mm,
let's take a look at some venues. He's like, way ahead of you, man. Already looking at a couple. And I'm like, oh, all right, cool. You know? And then we got the
uh,
venue, and he's like, all right, I found a venue. I'm just going to straight up just buy or rent the venue right now before we even have any tickets sold. Because he's like, I feel 100% that this is going to work out.
oh, okay.
See,
Wow.
it's so what I'm trying to say to you is like, stop having high expectations, be realistic,
Mm,
but also understand that this mentality can get in the way a lot of times.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Every time you say like, I was just talking uh, to many other students about this type of things, and every time I'm like, give them a piece of advice. Every time I tell them a solution, every time I feel like
Mm,
they give me another problem, I call that problem makers, not problem solvers. So hey, I have one problem. This is a thing. How am I going to hang out with people I care about if they are all far from me? So you made a new problem, you know? And so,
Yeah.
so then let's say I gave you the solution. So we'll call them. Now you didn't double down, right? You actually immediately understood. Oh man, no, AJ's right. Like I could sense that you understood. You're kind of getting in your own way a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Which is good. That's a good step, right? That's really powerful. But imagine if instead you didn't have this epiphany. Imagine instead you were like you said to me something along the lines of like, oh, but like the collect calls and like stacking up every time I call someone from far away, it's extra cost. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right, well then use Wi-Fi, do Google Hangouts, you know?
Yeah. But
And then you'd be
works
like,
really
well,
well.
like the time zones. Do you see my point? Like people that talk like this, it's really, really important that they understand that when someone is trying to help them, they should take the help, right? And if the more they fight back, the more I feel like they kind of are accepting that life is sucky, right? Because accepting that they're trying to avoid that life is sucky. Because if they were to accept that life is sucky, then they're not willing to make changes. Because once you accept that there's a lot of rationale to what I'm saying, and that you are your own keeper of your own distraught, that means that you will have to change something. Something has to change, and humans don't like change. We just don't.
Yeah.
And so like that's what I'm saying. Like small goals, give yourself achievable tasks,
Okay.
like talking with people you care about because that helps your mental health, right?
Mm. Definitely.
Being consistent with your art, that helps you with your artistic health.
Mhm.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Think of it like this: if you were to draw every day for just an hour, um,
Mhm.
you won't feel as bad if you, let's say, I don't know, are on your phone for about an hour, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
because you've
True.
actually done the thing you wanted. You've accomplished a very simple task.
Yes.
But if you do
True.
nothing and you spend
Mhm.
even like half an hour on your phone, you feel like, oh crap, you know. And then
Yeah. Definitely.
especially the distraction that I'm referring to, the phone distraction, you're usually stuck in a perpetual world of looking at um, other people lying about how happy they are, you know. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
it's like this constant feedback loop of like not being exposed to the reality of things, you know. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I said, you don't want paper towel solutions, and you want to be a problem solver, not a problem maker.
Okay.
Okay, think of it
Yeah.
like that. And it's hard. Don't worry. Like someone in your position, um, it's hard to make these types of transitions. Okay,
Okay.
it is,
Yeah.
and that's why I always tell people bite size, like do simple stuff. You know, don't try
Oh
to
yes.
do yeah, don't try to do crazy like I'm going to change everything about my lifestyle overnight. I'm going to spend
Okay.
7 hours drawing. You're going to burn out again. It's not sustainable. Uh,
Uh, so that's why it didn't work last time.
it will never work because it's not a.
Okay.
It's. I mean, even for myself, it just doesn't work out like that. Like let me give you a good example.
Okay.
You know, I'm a consistent learner. Like I'm always learning stuff.
Mm.
And one of the things that I know about myself is that when I'm into something, I get real focused on that, you know?
Mhm.
But that focus isn't always consistent.
Oh.
And so for me to be like, so for instance, like when I first started learning programming, it was really
Mhm.
hard to kind of like to eventually just keep doing it, like keep practicing programming, you know?
Oh. Yeah.
Just like it's in the beginning, it's a lot of fun, but when it starts to become harder and harder, it becomes less and less fun. And so what I did to combat this Okay. What I did to combat this was specifically, um, I essentially just made myself program every day for at least 2 hours.
Wow. How, how do you keep up with it though?
I'm sorry, say again?
How do you keep up with it? Like,
I just
just
told
you,
myself that I had to do it.
oh,
And I didn't care that it was only 15 minutes here and 15 minutes there. It was all about just getting that 2 hours in. And for
oh,
me,
okay.
that's much easier to do. For you, you might need to start smaller, like half an hour. There's a really good
Okay.
YouTube video that I saw. The guy was talking about just do 15 or just start a 5 minute drawing. Do 5 minutes every
Mhm.
day. And the same philosophy was true with him. And what I loved about his premise,
Mhm.
you know, was that he would say, like, once you would start drawing after 5 minutes, right?
Mhm.
You just feel like you want to keep drawing. You're like, well, I'm
Oh,
already started. And then so
mhm.
5 minutes turns into 30 minutes. 30 minutes then turns into an hour. It's
Okay.
about getting started, is all I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you're
Okay.
not even getting started, then yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, okay.
And so you just need to do that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too: if you start doing something and you don't feel good about it, like you
Mhm.
don't feel like it's working,
What happened?
okay, then try something
Mhm.
else. Like don't
Oh.
be so hard on yourself. Like try something else. You tried the 30 minutes in the morning, but maybe you just can't wake up in the morning. So you say, okay, either I just need to wake up in the morning, just suck it up, right?
Mhm.
Or maybe I should try something else. You know what? What I'll do is I'll put a
Mhm.
sketchbook right on my Wacom tablet every day. And as
Yeah.
soon as I go to my Wacom tablet or Cintiq, I'm going to do a I'm going to do a sketch. Problem
Oh.
solver, not a problem maker. Because a problem maker would take a solution or take the situation where they lost or they didn't do well, like, oh, I haven't drawn for several days, or whatever the hell it is, and just be like, well,
Mhm.
it's just not in the cards for me. A problem solver would be like, oh, well, you know what? Like, fuck it. I'm just going to figure this out. Maybe I'll do this instead. Maybe I'll try that instead. Make sense?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't have to stick to one stuff if it doesn't work.
Yeah. Don't be so hard. Like, just be consistent,
Okay.
And
Okay.
then eventually you'll feel more comfortable. You'll be like, all right, 2 hours, and then 3 hours, and then 4 hours, and then you'll start to build like a really reliable system of painting and drawing, and you're going to feel so
Oh,
much happier with your life.
yeah. Oh, okay. This helped me a lot. Well, I never
I'm
thought of it
glad.
like that.
Well, of course you didn't, because if you did, you might have already been doing well. you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, it's a common problem. Don't worry. Like you're not unique in this. Like a lot of people suffer from this type of self um, destructive behavior. You know,
I
and
didn't
that's
even
really what it
realize it.
is. Yeah. Well, let me put it to you this way. Like if you're feeling anxious and you're feeling depressed
Mhm.
often
Yeah.
based off of like
Yeah.
your actions, you know,
Yes.
then you
Mhm.
need to change your actions. And I'm not a
Yeah.
psychiatrist. I'm not a mental therapist of any sort. But I do
Yeah.
know one thing: if you keep the same behavioral patterns in your life,
Mhm.
there needs to be change. If
Oh.
you don't make any kind of significant change, you're just going to keep
Mhm.
revisiting these feelings more than you would want
Oh. 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 Oh my God. So that's how it is.
to. Yes.
So that's how it. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Like if
Okay.
you don't like the way you feel, you just need to work towards it. A different way of handling it. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to eliminate it entirely. I don't think that's possible, especially people who are genetically inclined to be more anxious. It's just impossible to get rid of it. But there's ways you can manage it. You can manage it. And just like anything, you can get good at it. You can get good at managing your emotional fortitude. I know this because my wife is a very anxious person, and being with me for as many years as we have, like she's learned to relax, and she tells me that because of me, she's been able to really control her anxiety.
Oh, so that's
Yeah, because I'm much easygoing than she is, and she sees how like I handle situations, and it's inspired her to manage herself a little bit better. On the flip side, she's taught me how to be feisty because I am a very agreeable person. Um, Most of the time, she's taught me how to like be a little bit less agreeable, which is very helpful, especially when you're trying to be, um, you know, a business person or an educator, or you want to move mountains. You got to have a little bit of like a go get 'em attitude, kind of like a fighter attitude in a lot of those respects. And so she's helped me with that.
it's balance.
Definitely balance, yeah.
I think I got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. Oh, so that's how it is.
any
I never
any
heard
other
of it
any
before.
other questions?
Oh no, I'm good for now. I'm good for now. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I have mine is more of a comment, but kind of going off of that.
Nope, you're not allowed. There's only one
Wrong.
teacher. Wrong. Yeah, go for
Damn
it,
it.
man. While you're talking, that gives me a chance to drink some of my smoothie.
Okay.
Yeah.
But basically, like for me, for example, it's always with drawing and getting all caught up on, always sitting on the desk and just sitting around. I have to force myself to go to the gym. That helps a lot. Just any form of physical activity, even if it's just like boxing, lifting weights, or just running a mile or anything like that. I feel like just mentally, of course, physically it helps a lot. But just like your mindset, um, I don't know. I feel like it just becomes way more efficient if you're doing that. I think actually you, Anthony, were talking about that of if you're always busy, it kind of forces you to, or you keep yourself busy, it forces you to be efficient when you're working on the things that you're working on because you're busy. You have other things that you have planned to do. And yeah, I don't know. I just have to say, for me, working out helps a lot. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried that or if it works for you as well.
Never. All right, next.
Never, never have worked out.
Yeah, bad advice. All right, move on. Now I work out. I used to work out a lot, but I've been working out a lot lately.
Well, the one thing I will say though is, I kind of mentioned that before, but doing legs or doing shoulders and then having to draw, it's very uncomfortable. Those are the two things that to me are very uncomfortable.
Now shoulders doesn't mess me up as much, but definitely legs, especially like when I haven't worked out legs in a long time, I feel crippled.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy.
when you have to sit down, just sitting down, it hurts so bad.
Yeah, I I've been working out and like when I did legs 2 weeks ago, I was just like I could not walk.
Oof.
And I actively was trying not to go crazy because I've done it before where I'll take a hiatus and not work out for a while, and then I'll just go ham.
ham.
Yeah, I go like intense, and then once I've done that, I'm like I can't walk like for a week, man. I'm like completely out of business.
Yeah.
But I was wiser. So this time I worked out. I only did heavy squats. I didn't do any other leg workout. I didn't do anything else. I just did like 5 or 6 sets of legs. And then what else did I do? I think I just walked up some stairs. And then that was it. It was like a half an hour workout. Maybe 45 minutes. And I still was like out of business for 2 days.
Oh, yeah. That can definitely get you.
But it was only for 2 days versus like a whole week. My wife, she started going back too. And I told her the same thing. I was like, was like, don't go so hard. Like you've been like you're going a little hard. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, well, I want to get back into it and all this stuff. And then she did it, and then she literally was like unable to walk for like a
Yeah.
week too. And then she just stopped working out altogether because she just got like so messed up. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's very uncomfortable.
yeah. I remember I was going to my doctor's appointment,
Mhm.
and I was trying to like run, and I couldn't, so I had to just like walk because I was running late.
Have you had that thing happen to you when your legs are super sore and you're trying to walk around and all of a sudden one of your knees just gives out, just kind of bends back?
No, but
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
I
Feel like
can
you're gonna
imagine.
fall.
I can imagine.
Yeah. The one like kind of random trick that helps a lot is if your legs are sore. It's gonna sound kind of ridiculous, but try to wear tight pants or some form of Under Armour leggings. It helps a lot with the soreness.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so when you're sore, it's just like, I mean, obviously it's all the inflammation of the muscle and everything. But if you try to put on like tight pants afterwards, like skinny jeans or some Under Armours that are like compression tights, that helps a lot with the soreness, honestly.
Compression tights.
Yeah, like the long Under Armour leggings.
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah. So we're even just wearing those things underneath, like a pair of shorts or some joggers or something, helps a lot.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Any other questions?
It's like Lance says, yes, it sucks for airplanes.
What, compression pants?
Yeah, kind of.
How come?
Yeah, it's just like they're tight and it just helps with the blood flow.
And so when you're wearing them for, oh, you're saying they help with the airplanes?
No. Land was saying that the compression, the idea of these compression pants, the Under Armours, are almost like the socks for airplanes. They're just basically
Oh,
tight.
sucks. I
Uh-huh.
got it.
Yeah. The accent doesn't help sometimes. I was actually, if no one else has a question, I was curious about how you're building up your values for skin tones, especially like the subsurface scattering and all those secondary and tertiary colors that the skin has. How do you approach that?
Yeah, I don't think too much about it. I just think about the overall values. Right now, I feel like there's still some adjustment to be made, but overall, I'm always thinking of just values. And I think in this painting, there's a lot of vibrant color,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like correcting for that. That's what I'm doing right now. I think it's okay. This bottom part is kind of just doing this, but for subsurface, yeah, I just stay within the same value range. Usually, I just change the color.
Okay.
Gotcha. So for instance, right here, like I have this value range, so I can like, if I want this to feel a little bit more of like a warmer color, I'll probably go somewhere like right here, and I'll just kind of splash it in. Might go a little bit brighter, but then if you look at it, it's pretty much the same value.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because the values are the most important.
Okay, for sure.
So, but yeah, I can see why it seems like there's something more complicated, but it's not. It's pretty standard. Get your values right. Making those values work.
Yeah. The edge control is the other thing that it's also, I feel like that's one of the things that makes you so efficient as a painter is your edge control with the values.
Your edge control.
I wish.
I can still hear my baby. He's supposed to be in bed. I just hear him talking to himself. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, but this is a great example of like there's a lot of juice, but ultimately, um, ultimately, uh, this is not like a concept that I'll do. This is more just like my own illustration.
Mhm.
Anyway, any other questions?
Are you planning on releasing a new art book anytime soon?
Maybe. I don't know. I have a lot of images. But
Would be
if I were to
cool.
do one, I would try to make an art book that would be narratively driven.
Okay, you have some of that in Heaven's Hell.
I do. I'll just do that again.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's just the priorities. You just set priorities
course.
towards that if I want to do it again. Oh man. Oh jeez. I feel like I haven't been resting. Just been constantly trying to catch up to sleep. But anywho, yeah, you know, doing art books is a great way to like build um, build a brand too, because it gets people to subscribe um, to your artwork in a more intimate way. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
was your last one crowdfunded or?
it was. Yeah.
It was?
Heaven
Okay.
so. Yeah, I'll never do it again though, because I failed miserably.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of my greatest failures actually.
Well, wait. How come, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, it's just you know how there's a lot of Kickstarter people who do Kickstarters and they never really deliver.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much the same way. The difference with me though, I guess, is that I actually refunded everybody that didn't want to wait for the book anymore.
Okay.
And I had a book and I sent it out to people who did want to wait, but it just was definitely out of scope, and I failed clearly. That was a whole thing, man. It's like a whole thing. People trying to ruin my career and type of stuff.
Damn, I never knew of that.
Yeah, it was like there's still the Kickstarter page, and you can go through the comments and you can see like people like I never hit any of that because I honestly believe that it was not a lot. Like some of them was a little too personal, but there was some really fair criticism, and I felt like you know I always felt that it was fine that people were very mad. I wasn't. I never felt they were wrong, and
Okay.
so I was very aware of this. But there were still a couple people. Specifically, there was like one guy who was like, even at the end of it, because at the very end, I was just basically, look, it sucks. Like it's not gonna happen. Just let's just call it what it is. You know, complete failure. And if you don't want to wait any longer, just get a refund. If you do want to wait, just send me your information. Because even like when people were sending me the information, many people moved away, and even their names were not correct. Some people use different emails now. You know, it's just so long. So I was like, look, if you're reading this and you still haven't got your either a refund or a book, just email me at this email address, and then you'll get it.
Okay.
Either or, right?
Yeah.
And even that wasn't enough for some of these real hardcore people. Like they just genuinely wanted me to burn. And I remember talking to one of the guys about it that was so angry. I was like, why are you so angry, man? Like, what's wrong, dude? Like, what am I supposed to do? You know, that I have not yet done. And one of the things I mentioned to him too is like, you do realize there's other artists who've done Kickstarters just like myself and have yet to respond to their audiences and have never even sent a dime to anybody. and
Right.
yet you're going all in on me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? Like, it'll be one thing if like this is like your goal is to try to stop people from making these mistakes. I would actually respect that. But it seems like I'm the only person you're going after, you know?
Yeah, just like a troll.
Yeah, and I was like, it seems a little kind of one-sided, and like I don't know what else I could say to you, man. And he's just like, oh, well, it's because I backed you. I didn't back all these other people. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, well,
I wonder if just a thought, but the fact that you're so responsive to everyone on social media, in a way, it's almost like a double-edged sword that gives trolls
I see.
the,
Like,
like they think they
because
have the power.
there's a lot of people that seek attention, and I give them the
Uh-huh.
attention. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. No, I agree with that. But it's fine. I am known for responding to people. So
Man, sometimes you reply to people, and I'm just like, I would have never replied to this person. I can't believe you. Like,
yeah, I've completely abandoned like my Facebook, mostly because Facebook's a trash town.
yeah.
But Instagram is great. I respond to almost everybody. I don't think I have one pending message. It's all been responded to at some
Damn.
level. I mean, it's not hard. I don't get millions of messages. Maybe if I got like thousands, even, it would be a challenge, and I probably would have to mitigate.
Yeah.
But I don't get as many as you think. So I think because a lot of people don't think that I would respond. I think that's probably why, or they feel afraid that I might judge them or something. Which,
You'll post them on your social media like, this person sucks. They're right to me. Who they
oh
think they
no,
are.
yeah. So I'm a big advocate against that. Like I
Yeah.
see this happen with my contemporaries. I see people will post
Like the cancel culture.
Yeah, I don't like cancel culture, and
Yeah.
I've even experienced it a little bit, like with the Kickstarter stuff. But it was like not even at the level it is these days. But anyway,
Yeah.
what was I going to say? Oh yeah, like no, I'm not a fan of like okay. So let me give you a great example. Like sometimes people will reach out to an artist and be like, hey, I want to work with you, like, and like do this stuff for free, like we can give you money at the end, we can give you some exposure, right? And so that I'm not a fan of that, but I'm also not a fan of when my friends will post what these people have said, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't like if they if they hide their names or they get rid of all these like other factors, so it's completely anonymous. I think that's still problematic, and the reason why is because that person would know.
Right. Right.
I think you can do it in a way that's indirect. You can just tell people don't do that.
Yeah.
Like you could just make a post about it, and that person might know, but at least you didn't like put them to blast on everything that they said.
Right.
Because sometimes some of these people don't know. They just don't have education on why it's kind of rude to just ask that. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing. There's something wrong with not teaching. So I get this all the time. Right? I actually get messages that, hey, let's work on something free. And I respond to them. Like even recently, someone's like sent me an image in my Instagram. And then they were like, yeah, I'll read you what they said. I'm gonna mute. I'll stop recording, just to stay on brand.
Okay.
Zoom recording. Yeah. So they essentially just sent me an image, and they're like, "Hey, can you do a paint over, right? Like, could you give me some feedback?
Okay.
Like, draw over it, right?" Now, I don't do that. Like when people ask me for like, "Hey, what do you think?" I will give them that because I can do that really easily. I can record a voice, or I can just do speech to text. It actually only takes like a minute of my time. Really, it's not really that big of a deal. I can tell them, oh, work on anatomy, work on perspective, whatever, right? Like just the kind of stuff that I tell you guys, but just in an even shorter form, right? And like no paint over of any kind. Because that's what I do. Like I'm an educator. I don't give that stuff out for free. If we're at a workshop or if we're at an event, it's a little bit different, right? It's a very special moment. Right. But like just on the internet, it's not like that's not what I'm about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote to him. I was like, he's like, unfortunately, I can't give you any kind of painting demo or give you any advice on that side because this is what I do professionally, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you want me to give you some just words of advice, what you think you can improve upon, I can give you a couple, you know?
Okay.
And he's like, but I can tell you right now, it's pretty good drawing. That's it. That's all I wrote.
Okay.
Something along those lines, paraphrasing. And then he wrote back. He said, "Oh, what the? I didn't even think you were going to respond." And he was super happy. He's like, "Yeah, I totally respect it, man." And he's like, "Didn't mean to imply, you know, or like assume that you would just do it, you know."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, no worries, dude. We'll keep on drawing, you know."
Yeah.
So what is great about this? This person leaves with a positive, you know, positive experience with an artist that they admire. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they learn a little bit about like maybe the etiquettes of like reaching out to artists. You know,
Yeah.
without getting canceled. You know,
Yeah.
there's people that have done the same thing, like with like, oh, I'll give you exposure, and I said, he's like, unfortunately, I don't do things for exposure. The project looks cool. Here's some piece of advice. I would think most artists would respect that you would give them even a portion of money up front, and that you should be, you know, you should also recognize that what you're asking them to do takes time. And so if you can't afford a lot of that time, then try to think of how much you can afford and pay them for that. You know, like if you can't, if you can only afford someone's like hourly rate of like $50 an hour, let's say, and you can only really afford 4 hours of their time, then I said, do 1 hour of having them do sketches and variations for you, just real rough.
Mm-hmm.
Then you pick one and then you make them spend the rest of the time just refining it. And you just got to deal with, you just got to be happy with whatever they give you.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And people respond to that really well. They're like, oh, thanks for that. You know, you're right. Like I should do that. It's just, you know, I don't have any money right now and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah. And I said, I agree. It's like, but let me flip it. Like, would you, if someone came to you and asked you to spend 16 to 17 hours of your time to do something with the hopes of something, like you probably wouldn't, right? So you just got to respect that that's probably what the case is. And you don't want to build a bad relationship with these people too. They're going to potentially get real resentful when they start to realize there's never going to be a prospect. I also mentioned to them is like, if you do feel like you still think this is a good option, then you should also make it very clear to them that their artwork is theirs. So you're more licensing it than like using it for your own IP. But if you want it to be yours, you have to pay for it.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because at least like if I'm doing something for free, if it's mine, I can share it on my Instagram. I can post it. I can make a tutorial on it. Whatever the hell I want. I can use it. The problem really becomes a real problem if like I can't even use the artwork because of some sort of crazy NDA.
Right. For something that was potentially even free to do.
Yeah. That's a great way to do that. To kind of get work from somebody without having so much of a headache.
Yeah. I'm just actually writing that down.
Yeah, I think there's ways to tell people to fuck off without telling them to fuck off. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what I'm saying. I'm just being really polite about it. You know, and I'm also like, you know, I don't know these people. Like I don't know their circumstances. I don't know the reason why they feel that this is okay, you know? Like I give people quite a bit of benefit of the doubt before I totally write them off. Before I actually quite literally to their face tell them to fuck off. And I've done that before. You might not believe it, but it's very rare. But I have done it. But it takes a lot. You have to genuinely prove to me that you're a genuine jerk.
Right.
And then I have no patience.
Right. It's just a waste of your time, basically.
Yeah. But it takes a lot. It takes quite a bit. I only can think of a few artists in our industry that have made me come to this extreme measure. But I feel like a lot of my friends, like, I don't know. I think a lot of times people feel justice needs to be said. So they go after these folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it ends up, I mean, just my perspective, but I feel like it ends up just kind of spreading more toxicity within the industry or the
Yeah.
circles.
And I'm
So,
not gonna say that I'm immune to this too. I've shared my fair share of like talking crap,
oh yeah, for
but it's
everyone,
just
yeah.
yeah, but it's just I realize it's probably best to reduce it, and it only
Hmm.
matters. That's the boy who cried wolf
Right,
sensibilities. Like if you're complaining about everything, then nothing you say seems to hold legitimacy with me,
right,
because it seems you're looking for it.
right.
There's definitely things to be upset about, but if that's all you're focused on, yeah, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see if anyone else has any questions.
Uh,
We'll wrap up soon. Any other questions, y'all? You guys feel content? It's okay. What
I
the?
mean,
I hear
sorry, my mom.
Tell her to get out. Get out of here, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm in class.
She's super loud. Like I'm in the office and she just walked in through the entrance of the office. You can hear her walking, just talking. Yeah.
Where are you guys? What's your ethnicity?
I'm from Venezuela, so Latino.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of yelling.
You know, Latin fire.
Yeah, it sounds like we're fighting, but we're just casually talking.
That's funny.
Yeah.
How's Venezuela? I don't know anybody from Venezuela. Only you.
Man. Bad. I mean, I'm here requesting political asylum.
Wow.
So yeah, the country. I'm from Caracas, which is the capital, and that is officially the most dangerous city in the world.
Cool, dude.
Yeah, super cool. With the highest inflation rate in the world too.
Yeah.
So much so that the currency of the country is not even, because I have friends over there still, the currency of the country is not even used by the people there anymore. They're using American dollars now because the currency is empty. Basically, it's not worth it.
Wait, where are you at right now?
I'm in Colorado. I'm between Colorado and California, like kind of going back and forth right now.
Oh, I see. So you got political asylum. That's what you meant.
Well, yeah, it's a kind of complex situation, but yeah, long story short, that's
what did you get the asylum?
So yeah, that's the thing. I applied for asylum, and then because the government in this country, especially with the current political situation, it takes.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
There's no situation, dude.
There's no situation. Perfectly fine.
Everything's fine, dude. Everyone's cool.
Yeah, especially with Latinos too.
Yeah, we definitely love brown people, dude. What are you
talking about? Yeah. So because of that, basically what happens is if you apply to asylum and you don't hear back within a couple of years, then you're allowed to work in the U.S. and have your Social Security and do all of that while you're waiting for asylum still. So that's where I'm at.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm like fine working and everything, but I can't go back to my country because yeah, I legally cannot.
Well, I mean, technically you're a criminal and a rapist as far as I remember.
I know, right?
At least one of those. I'm not sure which one. I'll figure it out later.
Yeah. I know. And the funniest thing too is that most people don't even know where Venezuela is anyway. So when I tell them I'm from Venezuela,
Central America, right?
It's right next to Colombia and Brazil.
Yeah, so it's definitely in the central.
Yeah.
I just don't know exactly where.
No, yeah, that's fair. It's a tiny country. But like a lot of people assume it's Europe, or they assume I say Minnesota. So.
My wife's from Nicaragua.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, so she's from Central America too.
Oh, so she's
and so she fled. She fled too, but it was during the Contra Wars.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Reagan. That was Reagan's. Good old Republicans hating on the brown people, dude. straight out of the playbook.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, the war on drugs, all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Our country was pissed because we found out that we were supplying the terrorists with weapons. We're really good at doing this,
right?
And so the country
that
became completely. Yeah, that's what's happening now in your guys' country. Like I was
Mhm.
talking to somebody about this. They were like because he was like, well, we're sending them like supplies and we're feeding them. They're like the president is blocking this stuff from coming in. And it's like, if you know anything about American history, especially with Latin America, like, are you sure it's food and shit?
Yeah.
Because in previous events, we did not send food and shit.
Hmm.
And let me go down the list. You know, the Iraq War, the
Right.
Syrian War,
Right.
the Contra Wars, right?
Hmm.
The drug cartels. Like, we are actually constantly sending quote unquote supplies.
Hmm.
Uh,
Especially with oil, when there's oil involved.
yes, and so I was like, you gotta look at like American history, man. We're definitely arms dealers, and so
Hmm.
in fact, I feel like if you ever become president, and then like they show you like all the stuff, like all the secrets, like the actual real stuff,
Mm.
you're just kind of like, our whole government is built on the deck of a house of cards, like the TV show.
Oh
But
yeah.
like in a real like sense, like if we were to stop doing a lot of these things that all of us Americans look out on the surface of, like, oh man, this is terrible. This is obviously terrible.
Hmm.
If we were to stop doing that, I have a strong belief that it would destroy our economy. You
Yeah, I
know,
believe that
like
for
it's like
sure.
we've built it on, these really terrible, terrible systems, and there's only
Hmm.
one way around it, which is complete and utter just capsizing of our current system, you know.
Right. Right.
And when if there was never a sense that this was true, it was during the housing collapse in America.
Mm.
Like when we recognized that all of that was just like Wall Street's just going off and on, like selling and trading, like without any real regulation or any accountability.
Hmm.
And then when that was completely destroyed, we had to like bail them out. And people again were like, hey, why are you bailing out Wall Street? But it was like the same premise of, if we didn't, it would have been real bad.
Right.
And my opinion about that is that we kind of might have to make it really bad, you know, because it doesn't then justify all the other bad, like, sure, there's going to be a lot of Americans that are going to have a lot of struggles and suffer, and
Hmm.
including myself. I'm sure it's going to affect me
Right.
and people that I know. But we shouldn't be killing innocent people, and we shouldn't be like starting coups and basically fueling terrorist activity. And
Yeah.
it's just like, we got to stop. And so a lot of Central American and South American countries are really affected by American policies. People don't know this, but it just is true.
Yeah.
And we got to stop. We got to let these countries sort themselves out. Same thing with the Middle East. It's going to be a lot of terrible things that are going to happen. But long story short,
Yeah.
like we gotta do a little bit of a hard reset, and it's just building up more and more tension. It's
Right.
like we're winding up something that's going to be potentially terrible, because I think it's going to happen regardless. But it's like, at least maybe we can have a controlled wildfire, not an uncontrolled wildfire. If that makes sense.
I see. Yeah, that does make sense.
Like, we're preparing for it. Like, even like people that like political people that are running for president,
Hmm.
that I strongly believe in, like Sanders, Andrew Yang. I still feel like once they get into office, if they do get into office, they're gonna see all of this, or like they're gonna be like, this is a mess. And I feel like if Bernie gets in, he's gonna tell us. He's gonna be like, yo, everything about our government is a complete and utter, it's in shambles. And then he's just like, and then someone's gonna shoot him because he's like unveiling all of the stuff.
Right.
It's funny because even as much as I hate our current president, he's kind of like revealing all of this stuff accidentally.
Yeah, just by
Like,
all his rants.
yeah, just because he's just doesn't know to shut up. And so, so he's just like kind of like just showing how bad it is, and it's kind of beautiful, in its own way. But anyway,
Maybe in a way that's part of the controlled fire you're talking about.
yeah, no, it's definitely not in control. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
kids in cages, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I
My
know.
wife, if she would have came during that time, she would be in a cage. That's just how it is.
Oh yeah. I mean, same with my girlfriend. Actually, she's from Mexico too. So
Yeah, she would be in a cage for sure.
Mhm.
Because my wife came when she was 6 with her aunt and
Okay.
some strangers.
Damn. So they wow. So they
So
did
they
the
would have separated
whole-
her for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, but again, it's, she was running from, like her mom was like recruited to become a terrorist. And her mom's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And so she left before her. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It's a crazy
Yeah.
story. It's very inspiring. But
Wow. That's the thing people here never realize. I've experienced that myself when they say, well, if you're applying for asylum, just do it legally and wait. Some people don't have that luxury.
yeah,
Like,
that's so funny, man.
like, oh, you just do it legally. Yeah, okay, I might be dead tomorrow though. So
Yeah,
I
these are
don't
the
know.
same people. These same people that have this argument are the same people who hate the DMV.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the
That's
same people that
that's so
don't get
funny.
their tags registered because of the fucking thing. It's like, all right, man. And so anyway,
That's funny. Yeah.
all right. Any other questions before we get too intense?
Oh.
I feel like we've been talking too much.
Yeah.
Can you guys think of any other questions, my friends? Please, anything. I'm looking at you, Michael. Do you have anything, or did Michael leave? You went to sleep.
I can make some happen. You put words into questions.
All right, cool.
It involves a brief demo. If you would show me something.
Anyone else?
I'm
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, sure. What's up, man?
Okay, and granted, you already answered the brushes question. I just want to ask if you could show me how you would approach painting like a robot with the spacing brush.
The spacing brush?
Yeah.
The one
round
with the
brush
more spacing? Got it.
Yeah, I've been messing with it, and I think it's really nice for like organic, but hard surface. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should just use the other one. But then I remembering what you said, and you're like, it doesn't matter, bro. You're a fool.
Doesn't matter, dude. You're a fool.
And I'm
you
like,
are a
right,
fool.
Prove it.
You are a fool, and it doesn't matter. All right.
Oh.
Next question. I'm just kidding. Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah. By the way, this painting's beautiful.
You're
like
beautiful.
These are great colors, dude.
You're beautiful.
Nah.
All right.
Oh, the premiere of your video on YouTube's doing pretty well, by the way.
Duh, dude. Duh, expanding that YouTube sphere. All right. Let me save this.
I just wanted to mention real quick. Have you ever thought
Oh
about
my
merch?
god.
I know. I talk a lot. Sorry, man.
I do have merch. Just nobody
dare
buys
you.
it.
Right. Wait, you do?
All right. Anyway, moving on.
Like, I'm just saying that a shirt with a design like this would be amazing.
You're amazing.
He did do some merch, some like shirts and stuff, but I don't think it didn't promote it very much.
Hey,
And
don't
then,
put it on me.
He wanted to do the
Don't
Prince
put it on
radio
me.
station. I know all the deets, bro. I know.
It's everybody else, not me. Everybody else has a problem. I don't have a problem, dude. My work's
They need to just give
amazing.
me better tools.
Yeah, my work's amazing. Everyone else is not. They don't get it, dude. They don't get my work. Yeah, I don't do the kind of work that does well as merch in a high capacity. So I have like a what you call it, like I have a niche audience and niche artwork. So that combination is usually not good. If I were to make, like, I think I have to make niche products like graphic novels or art books, this type of stuff. Because an art book is niche. It's only other artists want art books. And for what I do and teach, it makes sense.
Okay, fair enough.
Makes perfect sense. You're fair enough.
I try.
So you're in Colorado right now?
Right now, yeah.
So when are you in LA? When does that happen?
It was probably gonna be early next year, so I was planning on going like February or March, around there.
We should do a Colorado event.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah,
That would be amazing.
this is all you got to do. You got to look at. Well, here, let me see what's up. So, flight from LAX to Colorado.
It's like 150, I think.
Well, it's even cheaper. Where in Colorado are you? Or
Denver.
close? Oh, that's super cheap then. According to this, it's like $90.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's super cheap. So, so the next question is, how much would it cost to stay at a hotel in Denver for like 3 to 4 nights? $29? What the? All right, Denver hotels. So looking at, yeah, so we're looking at like even cheap nights too. The Sheridan's like $100, 75 at the Courtyard. So like average out around $100 a night. So if we were to stay 4 nights, it'd be like $500 probably. And so then add the flight at $600. $600, $700. Let's just put at 700 at a higher capacity. And then next, you just need a venue for a whole day. That can also cost about $600. And if you were just to fly me out, right? So that would be between $1,200. And if we were to do a $50 price entry fee, you only need 24 people. But we could bring more people. If we did like 2,000, we can probably bring more people. Right? And then do the same thing and you get the 40. That's where we get the 40 from.
Damn. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people in Denver. So what we did is that we just create a mailing list and we'll see how many people will sign up. And then based off of that, we try to budget if it was even possible.
Okay, I'm going to look around. Yeah, I know there's some artists here for sure.
If there's no, if there is no cost to the venue, because sometimes schools will just offer their school.
Right.
You can just borrow it. Then it's dope.
Right. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so then that reduces the cost dramatically. Yeah, I don't know who lives out in Denver, but I can do a post on my Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, but you gotta do some of the groundwork. You gotta tell me like what's available, what are the costs. Share this information with me or Mike, and then we'll start doing the planning. And this is true for all of you guys, even if you're out of country. And even some schools are even willing to send or like sponsor the event. Like they'll fly out all the artists. They'll hold on to that like sponsorship. They're like, they'll do everything, all that work.
I'm trying to see if a school over here will do that.
Yeah, and then it's just about who we want to bring out rather than logistics. But it's easier than you might think.
I mean, it doesn't sound complicated the way you broke it down just now. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah, remember, like, just the solutions, people tend to not think about the stuff. They become problem makers, like I was mentioning earlier with Lan, right? Like, think it through and you'll be like, no, this is possible. So I was thinking about, like, the one-on-ones. So the first problem I was running into is, like, organizing. Like, how do I get people, like, how do I organize that? Right? Like that's a lot of people that potentially like overbook. Even if it's like 5 people, that's a lot of people to like organize and coordinate with. It's not like a class where I can like both organize,
Right.
Just get all you guys' emails and just send out like a large email and then get you guys all in a Skype group. This is gonna be different. This is like we're all gonna meet up. Like I'm gonna have like a virtual office, which is the Zoom meeting. Right. And then we meet up there and then I do the thing and then the next person comes in. Like, how do I organize that?
Right. Yeah.
And so I found a thing. I just researched. And
Oh.
there's already a website that does it. And you can book one-on-ones. It's already up too, but I'm waiting for a good time to actually launch it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's as simple as here. Let me see if I can find it. I sent it to Mike, so he has a test version of it. Or no, he has the real version. Yeah, it's not a test version. This is the one that's launched. So you could pick a session, right? You could like, you know what, I want to hang out with AJ for 30 minutes. He'll give me a paint over review, give me some advice, like a kind of just a short session, hang out. You pick your time zone, so that way you know when it's good for you. So it's according to your time zone, not so much mine. But I just allot times, and then you just book.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And then on my end, on the back end, like I can see like who it is and where it is. And then they'll there's a link to the Zoom meeting on in the email. So you just click on that when it's your time, and I can send reminders, and I can actually move your appointment too if I feel like there's an overlap for like something I forgot about, and then it will let you know. It's like it's all done through this app. It's super easy.
Damn.
Does it prevent you from booking same day?
No, they can't do it because someone else books, then that time is slotted, right? And if I have something booked, it's synced to my calendar. Okay. So then when I go to my calendar, it will show me that someone has something going on. And then even from there, I can like reschedule their meeting. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Because I had the concern of what if you're like, you didn't have anything booked, let's say 4 p.m. and then it's like 2 p.m. and you're like, oh, well, there's nothing today. So then you go do something else, maybe hang out with your family. And then somebody booked that time an hour in advance. And you're just like, oh, wait a minute. Whoops.
No, I think I could put a 24-hour booking delay. So you can't book.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, so you can't book the same day. That's what you meant. And then that's exactly right. I don't think it's like immediate. I mean, we can even test it. So if I were to say I wanted to book today, which is right now, right? Oh no, Wednesday, right?
Oh yeah,
can't. So I think I already have it.
All right, that's good.
I think I can even set it further out too. Like you can't book for 2 days or whatever. But I think 1 day is fine. I'm not that fucking lucrative in my time. But one thing that I'll have to start doing better is book, like put on my calendar when I'm not available.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So that way people won't accidentally book. Because how will they know? So I have to like block those days and those times. But anyway, yeah. So I did a robot.
Yeah, I've been watching. Thank you. I kind of see that it's kind of my interpretation is it leans back to just really good shapes.
You son of a bitch. You're a son? Well, no, actually, your mom's great. You're a son of a good person. You son of a good person. All right. Alrighty. I'm going to go now, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. Yeah.
It's been an honor. Thank you guys for taking my class. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you guys around. Keep up the good work. Remember, try to save up money. Go to at least one event a year if you can. And, do your best to keep putting your stuff out there, showing it, making friends, connect. Don't be strangers to the people you've made friends with in this class either, Try to get each other's contact information of some sort. Keep in touch. You never know. And with that being said, peace out, friends. I'm rolling out. Later, guys.